Free the land, free the land. Revolutionary greetings, revolutionary greetings. As everybody start to come into the live, please share this live with your timeline. Share this share this live with your Facebook friends, Facebook family, your Facebook community. Share this worldwide, people. Worldwide. As I see everybody that came into the live, let me go ahead and share it also on my personal space. How's everybody doing? I trust that everybody is doing well in all these circumstances that's going on right now for African people, new African people, the global black community, with everything that we facing. Let me go ahead and share it with my real timeline, my personal page in Nigeria. How's everybody doing? All right, I shared it on my personal page. And like I'm always saying, y'all, if you can't, I know a lot of y'all be sending me friend requests on my personal page. If you can't get on my personal page, and if y'all know people who trying to follow me on my personal page, please redirect them to my community page, my like page, my follow page, so they can follow me on here. Because this is where I do all my lives anyway. This is where I do all my real, videos, information, all those type of things, trying to unite, the African diaspora with our brothers and sisters on the African continent, and, advocating for the Republic of New Africa, advocating for, Biafra's restoration and all oppressed people's, human rights and struggles and what they're fighting for is on this page. So please, if you know anybody that's trying to follow me on my personal page, please redirect them to this page. And so I'm doing this live today because if you're not, like I said, if you're not aware of what's going on right now, in, current events, current news, and what is going on right now. And the biggest thing that's going on right now, if you don't know, is what's going on in Nigeria. So with that being said, I just want to say the other day was a sad day in history. I mean, a sad day in Nigeria. If you're not aware of what happened the other day in Lekki, Nigeria, the Lekki Toll massacre, and what happened to those young brothers and sisters who were out there just demonstrating, against police brutality, police terrorism. It was just a sad day in history in Nigeria the other day, man, with those young brothers and sisters who sacrificed their lives and, the brothers and sisters and young brothers and sisters who lost their lives to the brutal terrorist military of Nigeria. Now, we know about SARS. We know about the police units. So I want people to understand that there's no difference between the police departments, SARS, and the new police unit that they so-called supposed to reformed and transformed into, which is still nothing but an extension of SARS and still an extension of the terrorist government of Nigeria. This new police unit is something that people not really focus on is the military. It's the military of Nigeria, y'all. The military of Nigeria has been carrying out some of the most harshest human rights violations for over the last, 60 years. Over the last 60 years in Nigeria, the military has been constantly, over and over, violating human rights of brothers and sisters, from the elders to the mid-aged peoples, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, children, teenagers, and I'm more specific. I'm speaking more like on the brothers and sisters who chose to rise up in activism. You feel me? Has been murdered by the Nigerian military, and even IPOB is something that you need to understand, and you need to You know, you need to look into that history of how IPOB has come under brutal attacks by the federal government of Nigeria and the Nigerian military. The Nigerian military is a dictator's military, period. The president, Muhammadu Buhari, is a dictator, period. And so what I'm trying to explain to brothers and sisters in the African diaspora and the United States of America and the brothers and sisters across the world who truly don't understand what's going on in Nigeria or why these things are happening in Africa and why Africa is in the shape that it's in. Too many of our brothers and sisters in the African diaspora don't understand why these things are happening, or how can somebody of the same skin color or somebody, you know, supposed to be black, or people who's supposed to be African, how do they kill their own like that? How do they dehumanize their own like that? You feel me? It's the reason why I'm doing this live. Neocolonialism. Neocolonialism is something that you have to understand and something that you have to study, brothers and sisters. African Americans, misnomered African Americans, new Africans, and Africans in the African diaspora. People, you must get educated on Africa. Because if you don't get educated on the struggle of our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, and do this in a chronological study, you have to do this in a chronological study. Meaning you have to go back. You have to go back and study Africa's history. And more specifically, more closely to the periods of colonialism. You have to understand, Africa has been colonized, brothers and sisters. Just as well as we have been colonized in the African diaspora. But neocolonialism is something that you have to understand and you have to study scientifically. You have to take this research and study it and break it down to the simplest, understanding of what you're studying scientifically on Africa materially, the material struggle in Africa. You have to study that. And one of the greatest theoreticians that you have to understand and you have to study in order to understand why Nigeria is in the state that it's in is Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah. One of our greatest Pan-African theoreticians in history. One of our greatest revolutionary freedom fighters in history. You have to study Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah predicted everything that you see going on in Africa and Nigeria today. It's in his work. It's in his work. You have to study Kwame Nkrumah, man. This is why I'm making this video, so I can give people a starting point. Many of our people need a starting point, even black celebrities. Because half of these black celebrities, these bourgeoisie, wealthy black celebrities that you see in America, that's all of a sudden now saying NSARS or joining the NSARS movement. You feel me? Half of them do not know why this type of transgressions, this type of brutality, this type of human rights violations are going on because they have no understanding on history of African struggle. They have no idea, brothers and sisters. So it's cool, like I said in my last line, it's cool to see rich blacks and rich black celebrities, you see what I'm saying, hopping on board and trying to bring awareness to what's happening in Nigeria. But like all brothers and sisters, man, who are in this world today, you have to go through a re-education process. You have to go through a re-education process in order to understand what's going on in Africa. Because like I keep telling you, everything that goes on in Black Africa affects blacks globally. It affects blacks globally. See, so many black people have been so colonized, deeply colonized, that they don't even understand that you have a history that predates America. African people, new African people in the African diaspora. You have a history that predates you being brought here to America, which is your ancestral land. Many people don't have to claim it, but this all goes back to your identity and your ancestry. It's based on your ancestry. Africa is your ancestral land, no matter if you like it or not. No matter if you claim it or not. But Africa is your ancestral land, people in the African diaspora. You have been so detached from Africa by the white man and the white woman, you see what I'm saying? That you don't even understand what's going on in Africa at all. And if you don't understand what's going on in Africa, you definitely cannot understand what's going on in Nigeria. Period. So this is why neocolonialism has to be the focus now. Okay, sacrifices have been taken. The young brothers and sisters in Nigeria have awakened. They're awake now. They're out in the streets right now, still getting shot at in Nigeria. As recent as today and yesterday, young brothers and sisters are still being shot and murdered in Nigeria today, protesting. That is the sacrifice. Because if anything dealing with revolutionary change or evolutionary change, there's going to be sacrifice and bloodshed. Baba, Malcolm X. Revolution is bloody. Change is bloody. Are you listening to me? Evolutionary change is bloody. We're going to lose brothers and sisters on the way of trying to combat and destroy neocolonialism, imperialism, and capitalism on our motherland, and on the continent of Africa. Bloodshed will take place. So our brothers and sisters that lost their life in Leke, was an ancestral sacrifice. These young brothers and sisters are now ancestors. They are now martyrs against neocolonialism. They are now martyrs. All those young brothers and sisters' names will be remembered forever in the history of national African liberation. Facts. So it's cool to shed a tear for those young brothers and sisters that lost their life at the toll in the Leke massacre, but now we have to move forward. Now these brothers and sisters will be assisting us from the ancestral land. These brothers and sisters will now be assisting the struggle to end Nigeria from the ancestral land now. They made the sacrifice. They took the ultimate sacrifice, which is death against neocolonialism in Africa and Nigeria specifically. But also they took the sacrifice for the African brothers and sisters in the diaspora for national liberation. So, my brothers and sisters that lost their lives in Leke, you will be remembered forever. Issei. You'll be remembered forever, young brothers and sisters. The young brothers and sisters that are out there still protesting and marching today, you will be remembered forever. But we have to move forward in the struggle because Nigeria and Africa has bigger issues. And that biggest issue and the enemy of Nigeria, that Nigeria and Africa is facing today, is neocolonialism. Neocolonialism. We have to go back. That black-skinned with the white face underneath Negroes. The sellout Negroes who are now doing the dirty work and the work in the interest of our historical enemies. Because these are black faces that are brutalizing, oppressing, and killing Biafrans, Christians, young activists, every day in Nigeria. These are black-skinned people, our enemies, who chose to take up the historical terrorism and the historical oppression of our enemies. These black-faced sellout Negroes, neocolonialism, black-skinned white mass. Frantz Fanon, another theoretician that you need to study black people, to understand the struggle of oppressed people and the oppressed people in Africa. Frantz Fanon. Go get Frantz Fanon books. Wretched of the Earth. Black skin, white mass. See, I have to homer these points in so people can understand, the black brothers and sisters in the African diaspora can understand why are black people killing black people in the motherland, on the continent, and in Nigeria, the richest African black country in Africa, and specifically in the world, the richest black country in the world, Nigeria, which is nothing but now you see the face of neocolonialism. Now we got a face on neocolonialism, even though there are many other examples of neocolonialism in Africa before Nigeria, but you have to put it in the proper context. Let's take it back. Let's go back to the proper context of neocolonialism. Let's take it back to the proper context of neocolonialism. And when did all this start? This is something you got to understand. Now we know about the tribalism history of Africa. That's cool. That's cool. We always going to understand that. We're always going to understand that certain groups of people will never get along due to proximity. Proximity is nothing but the scientific reality of how close individuals, ethnic groups, nations, or tribes of people are close to each other in proximity. So this goes for all racial structures. Proximity is not restricted to black faces. It's not restricted to African faces. Proximity is just the scientific, the scientific dynamics of how the closeness of people living together or beside each other or in the same vicinity. Proximity. So we know about tribalism, we know about proximity, and we know about historical, disagreements and historical warfare and tribalism. But let's move closer in time. Let's move to colonialism. Because this is the most important period that y'all people have to study, brothers and sisters, in order to understand Nigeria. You have to move into what we know as today in history, which they don't teach your babies in class. They don't teach this shit in Africa. This is why a lot of Africans on the continent are still colonized as well. We have all been colonized by the same historical enemies. Our historical enemies of European states, European countries, European states. We all have been colonized. If you're black, you have been colonized, period. Whether it's on the continent or in the diaspora. But let's go back to the pinpoint. The pinpoint that you need to focus on and study is the Berlin Conference of 1884. The Berlin Conference of 1884. You have to study that period extensively and imperative to your development of understanding Nigeria's issues and why Nigeria has to end. By us saying in Nigeria, right? By us saying in Nigeria, we're saying in all colonialism on the continent of Africa, because Nigeria is the face of neocolonialism and colonialism in the modern time, 2020, right now. They are the face. So if you in Nigeria and in the dictatorship and in the regime in Nigeria, you are now taking the first steps of ending neocolonialism and imperialism on the continent of Africa. Facts. Facts. We would now be moving into the stages and the steps of destroying what's been holding Africa down. Africa's supposed to be the most beautifulest example of civilization on this earth. Period. But you have to understand what happened at the Berlin Conference of 1884 when European nations, because this all ties in. When I'm saying that it's a bigger issue and problem in Africa and Nigeria, which is national identities. National identities are one of the historical pinpoints of what went wrong with our Africa when Nigeria came into existence. And many of these African states came into existence. National identity is something very important scientifically that we have to understand in this struggle for national African liberation against our historical enemies. It's national identities. At the Berlin Conference, right? You had all these European states, Britain, France, Europe, Germany, and so forth. It's too many of them to name. But all these European states came together at the Berlin Conference in Berlin in 1884 and decided to carve up Africa into different parts of Africa, into states, separate states that European nations now colonize and now control at the Berlin Conference, y'all. This is what happened. Because I want to show you why Nigeria is in the state that it's in and why Nigeria has to end. So I'm just trying to give you a proper context. And many other African countries you can throw in there also who needs to be broken up. Cameroon, another prime example on what's going on in Cameroon. This is why I keep telling you, it's no coincidence that so many African ethnic groups or so many African nations who have been oppressed and colonized and who are being now neo-colonized by these so-called poster board African states, and why these groups are now wanting to separate from these countries. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of black people in the African diaspora don't understand why these groups want to separate from their own African states, which is truly not their own African states. Because like I said, you have to study the Berlin Conference. Because the Berlin Conference created these African states, even by name. Nigeria, for example. How many of you black brothers and sisters in the diaspora know that Nigeria was created by a white man and a white woman from the British Empire? From the British Empire. And if you don't know who these individuals is, you need to write their names down and study it. Sir Francis Lugard and Floria Shaw. Write these two individual names down. Floria Shaw, Lady Lugard, and Sir Francis Lugard of the British Empire is some of the most extensive studies that you have to study. These two terrorists, these two evil individuals created what you see today in Nigeria. And the most saddest thing about it, there are still statues in Nigeria of Sir Lugard, Sir Francis Lugard. Now, what is the significance of Sir Francis Lugard and Floria Shaw to Nigeria? And why Nigeria is in the state that it is? What is the significance of that? Did you know, brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters in America, in the diaspora, did you know that the name Nigeria comes from a white woman? Nigeria's name is colonized. The Nigerian national identity is a colonial subject, pseudo-nationality and identity. That's the first mistake. That's the first historical terrorism on these brothers and sisters in Africa, in Nigeria specifically. The first terrorism was the identity that they stole from these ethnic groups in Nigeria and gave them a pseudo-national identity, which is Nigeria and Nigerian. The same thing they did to black brothers and sisters in America. The same thing they did to us in the United States of America, they did to brothers and sisters in Nigeria. See how the ecosystem of our oppression and our struggle are connected? We will always be connected because we're family, brothers and sisters. The same thing happened to them there, happened to us here. We had our national identity stolen in America. We're not African Americans. We're not African Americans. That's a colonizer's national identity. That's not your identity, your culture, or your ancestral identity. You're not an African American. So what I'm trying to say to you, that brothers and sisters in America who don't understand why, that Nigerian identity and that Nigerian nationality is a pinpoint on what's wrong in Nigeria, you need to understand that, because you got to understand all of these ethnic groups that they had that were separate at one time. Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. All these identities were separate at one time. Until Francis Lugard and Floria Shaw and the British Empire invaded Nigeria. Something else you need to study. Something else you need to study is the invasion of Nigeria by the British Empire. In 1851, the British Empire invaded Nigeria and colonized Nigeria. Then they so-called annexed that invasion in 1865, the same year the so-called slavery supposed to end it in America for African Americans. What's the coincidence? See the coincidence? Y'all have to understand how white supremacy uses symbolism as well. They use symbolism as well to conquer us. In 1865, the same year that slavery is supposed to have ended in the United States of America for new Africans, misnomered African Americans, these so-called British Empire and these British invaders, so-called annexed the British invasion of Nigeria. But guess what? Guess what? Guess what happened? We know the Berlin Conference happened in 1884. So that's a couple of decades later when they split up Africa and broke Africa up into territories and African colonized states. That's something you got to understand as well. But guess what? The British invaders successfully recolonized Nigeria, but they really never relinquished power in Nigeria. They just made it look like they relinquished power in Nigeria. Because in 1901, write that down, in 1901, Sir Francis Lugard, Floria Shaw, the one who named Nigeria, Nigeria is named after a white woman. Nigeria is named after a white woman who named this region after a racist term, racist terminology. See, they were already using the word nigger in Africa. The European invaders, the British Empire were already using the word nigger. So they took the word nigger or nigger area, and turned it into a country name, Nigeria. A white woman named this land that we know today that's in turmoil from police brutality, from neocolonist Negroes, puppets of British Empire, after the word nigger. Nigeria. This is facts, people. Do your homework. And then in 1901, they turned Nigeria into a British, what they call it? What's the word they use? Protectorate. They turned it into a protectorate. If I even saying that right. Basically they turned it into another British colony in 1901. Write that down. All this is going to make sense by the time this live in on why I need y'all to get square and educated on neocolonialism. Because now we move up in the periods of time, brothers and sisters. From 1901 to like 1915, when Floria Shaw and Sir Francis Lugard created this terrible, terrible idea of taking all these ethnic groups in Nigeria and putting them together and giving them a false pseudo nationality, which is Nigerian. This is why all this shit is going on in Nigeria today. When they took all those 300 to 500 ethnic groups who were living on their own and bunched them up together and created the zoo called Nigeria, the failure called Nigeria. This is facts. For those who don't understand, this is facts. So my African brothers and sisters in the diaspora, when you're looking at that flag, the Nigerian flag, the Nigerian identity, the Nigerian so-called nation state, when you're looking at that, you're not looking at nothing African. That's not African. Nigeria is not African. Nigeria is not African. African American is not African. This is why your national identity is the struggle, the most important struggle, people, under human rights and self-determination is your national identity. You must understand that. Because once you have a people that's colonized and don't understand what's their national identity, who they are as a culture, an ethnic group, and a race, once you have African or black people or any oppressed people in that mind state that they don't know who their national identity is, this is what you get in Nigeria today. You have brutal, oppressive regimes doing what they want to do to citizens because they know these citizens are slaves. They know these citizens are slaves and indoctrinated. Nigeria is not African. African American is not African. These are not short national identities. These are colonized colonial subject identities. So now in neocolonialism, when you get into Nigeria coming to existence as a nation state in 1967, right? You have Negroes, black faces, but they have white skin under their black faces. They're white in the inside. They're white where they think they're white. Mentally, they think they're white. But they have now joined sides with the oppressors. They have now joined sides and took the contract and the deal to do the work for the national historical enemies, brothers and sisters. People like Muhammad Buhari does the work for the white historical enemies, the British Empire. So you have to understand on why you see black militaries or black police departments murdering innocent brothers and sisters, because they no longer see themselves as those people, because they have now took the deal with the government. They have now sided with the government. Neocolonialism. Neocolonialism. They have now took sides with the government. When these brothers and sisters take these jobs with governments, whether it's the police departments, whether it's the military, they no longer see themselves as a part of the ethnic group that they disperse from or they originate from. Because now they have now went up the ladder. They have now went up the ladder in society and thinking they have gained success by becoming a part of their historical enemies' creation. Nigeria, nigger area. Nigger area. And this same thing is going on in America. When these black bourgeoisies or these blacks go up the hierarchy of these governments, hierarchy and governments and positions in society, which is privilege. Privilege is an extension of neocolonialism. It's when a black brother and sister think they have now made it in a society that their brothers and sisters are still being brutally oppressed by, genocided by, and murdered by. So they think they have escaped that by going up the ladder and getting in with those governments, whether it's America, Nigeria, or wherever oppressed people be. When a brother or a sister becomes successful inside these governments, they have now gave their loyalty to these governments. This is just facts, brothers and sisters. This is facts. They don't no longer see you. They no longer look at you as the same brothers and sisters or the same lineage or the same bloodline or the same people no longer when they take these jobs with these governments. This is why you can see black people in Nigeria's military or their police units murder innocent young brothers and sisters in Nigeria like that. It's because they don't see these brothers and sisters as their own people no longer. That's facts. That's facts. That's why we say you have to end Nigeria. You have to end the zoo. You have to end it. In order to save Africa, in order to save lives, you have to end Nigeria. Nigeria has to be broken up. A lot of these African states and African countries have to be broke up because of the way they came into existence. They came into existence under European colonialism and European power, who dictated and told you who you are and gave you these false pseudo-national identities. Facts. And you have to ask yourself this major question, brothers and sisters. When in history have you ever seen Africans go to Europe, go to America, colonize them, and tell them who they are? When have you ever seen it, brothers and sisters? Somebody show me an example of Africans going to Europe and telling them who they are, giving them a national identity. Somebody tell me this. Show me this example in history. Have you ever seen an African black brother and sister go to a white nation or go to a white civilization and tell them who they are? Tell them who they are. Take their land and then tell them who they are. Bunch them together and tell them who they are. They did it amongst their own with the European states that you see in Europe today. They did it amongst their own. And when they did it amongst their own, They decided to go to the land in the place of civilization where every natural resource that benefits mankind is being cultivated, to colonize it, to exploit it, and to get profit off it, and to get generational rich off it. Nigeria. Y'all have to understand, Black death, Black confusion, African death, African confusion and chaos is a profit for European states and European oligarchies, and even Black oligarchies and Black wealthy elitists. This is a profit to see brothers and sisters murder, kill each other, genocide each other due to economics, due to poverty, due to infrastructures. This is a profit for the European states and the European nations. It's a profit. They profit off your death every day. They profit off your death every day. Seeing Africa in the state that it's in benefits who? Seeing the state that Africa is in benefits who? This is something I want you to think about and to understand and try to, figure out scientifically. If Africa is in so much turmoil, and if Africa is in so much death, murder, genocide, and backward civilization, who benefits from that? Who benefits from that? European states and their Negro puppets, like Muhammad Buhari. They benefit off of our deaths. They benefit off keeping Africa backwards. This is why Africa needs a Pan-African revolution. This is where all these great freedom fighters, Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral, Thomas Sankara, Samora Machel, Patrice Lumumba, Steve Bantu Biko, Winnie Mandela, Julius Nyerere. This is what all these great African, Chris Haney, Robert Subukiwe. This is what all these great African leaders that have been assassinated over decades, we're fighting against, we're combating against, we're trying to restore the dignity to our motherland, our ancestral land. Africa, they took the ultimate sacrifice, which is death. Even Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Martin Delaney, Henry Highland Garnett, Pap Singleton. You feel me? This is what all these great African freedom fighters were trying to combat and fight against, was neocolonialism, because they seen neocolonialism coming. They saw it coming. By the colonization of European states, they saw it coming. Nahanda, the Candaces of Nubia, Amani Shakato, all these great freedom fighters, women and men, were fighting against Africa being colonized, and neocolonialism that would later come. That would later come. That is happening right now in front of the world stage. I can't even think of my sister warrior from the Kingdom of Congo. I can't even get her name out. But to that great sister too, who fought against the Portuguese. Who fought against the Portuguese. So the issue is bigger than NSARS now. Brothers and sisters, we have to get that. We have to make that a culture. We have to get these young brothers and sisters to see. We have to get these Black celebrities to see that this NSARS now is not the end game. The end game is to end Nigeria. The end game is to end colonization and colonialism, imperialism in Africa, and give Africa back to its brothers and sisters. We have to get Africa back, brothers and sisters. Are you willing to step up to do that? Are you willing to join the struggle to get Africa back? Are you willing? Africa is your birthright, brothers and sisters, all across the world, in the African diaspora. Africa is your birthright. You are entitled to everything that Africa cultivates. But you won't be able to have that opportunity, brothers and sisters, as long as European states, through neocolonialism and puppet African states and puppet African leaders, doing the dirty work because they have now invested interest in our genocide and death. If we don't remove these Negroes, if we don't remove these Negro states out of Africa, your birthright will be on a standstill forever. And you will not be entitled to these benefits of your birthright and ancestral right if we don't eliminate neocolonialism, if we don't end imperialism in Africa. We have to destroy that shit. We have to destroy that shit. In Nigeria now, in colonialism now, in military dictatorships now, in military conquering and dictatorship in Africa now. Africa is in a military state. Africa has now become a military state and has been a military state for decades. Nigeria is a military state. It's not a civilized country. Don't be fooled by the name, Nigeria. Don't be fooled because it's an African country on the African continent. Don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by that. It's up to Africa's sons and daughters now to step up. African Americans, misnomer African Americans, new Africans, Africans in the diaspora, Africans in the Caribbean islands, Africans in Europe, Africans in Asia, Africans in South America. It's time for Africans across the global world, global community to come together and fight for your mama. Your mama is Africa. Period. It's your birthright and your duty to fight for Africa. We must free the land. And when we say free the land, we're saying free Africa. And free all her sons and daughters scattered in civilization and wilderness of this global world, this material world. Freeing Africa starts with ending Nigeria. Yep. Freeing Africa starts with ending Nigeria. The face of neocolonialism has to die. Nigeria has to die. In Nigeria, you have to let all those sons and daughters of Africa, all those sons and daughters of these ethnic groups, ethnic tribes and nations, Nigeria, you must let them go. Those who want to stay with Nigeria, that's your human right. If you want to continue to, be governed by this zoo government and this terroristic government of Nigeria that would never, ever, ever change, there's no revolutionizing, there's no reforming Nigeria. So, because whoever gets voted in office will now become a puppet of neocolonialism, will now be a puppet of the British Empire and the European states that control Nigeria and these wealthy black bourgeoisie ruling class of Nigeria that constantly, repeatedly, in history, puts in people they want to put in office to continue the genocide and the historical national oppression on these ethnic groups of Nigeria. It would never change, just like nothing would never change in America for African Americans, new Africans. You can vote in whoever you want to vote in. You can vote in whoever you want to vote in. But the way that shit is governed and the way that it's ruled and the system that they use will never change. It will never change. It will never change. It'll just become a new face, neocolonialism. It would just become a new face. And that society would never change. The death, the genocide, the poverty, the infrastructure will never change with different faces who benefit off their privilege inside of white supremacy, capitalism, and imperialism. It would never change, brothers and sisters. Never change. Revolution is bloody in the words of Elhaj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. Revolution is bloody. We're going to lose a lot of people on this struggle along this path to our destinies, man, and the liberation of Africa. So let's remember all Africans and all brothers and sisters who shed blood for our national African liberation. Issei, 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 Issei. On that note, I'm going to sign off on that note, man. Haki Kweli Shakur, man, a.k.a. Ikechukwu. In Nigeria today. Free the land, y'all, by any means necessary. Be a loyal enemy, y'all. Be a loyal enemy. Because your enemies have more faith in what you can do, the people's power, than you think that you can do. This is why we must break off the shackles of colonialism and slavery of our minds. The first revolution takes place in the mind. You have to shake off the shackles of being a colonial subject and return to your indigenous natural selves. Mentally, culturally. Free the land.